All right, the Aztecs, they get the win 71-53 over Creighton in the first ever Players Era Festival tournament. It's in Vegas. It was cool having Candace Parker on the call. I turned the game on and I heard her voice and I was like, oh, wow, okay. So we know that this is going to be a pretty good matchup here when CP's on the call. And it was a good one in favor of obviously us in San Diego State. The Gonzaga game wasn't fully healthy. Miles Bird, and then you had Farrah Compton as well. They were out of the game in some points of the game, dealing with cramps, especially there in that second half. Obviously, being without Reese Waters. And now today, Bird was healthy. Everyone from this last game, the loss against Gonzaga from last week, it didn't seem like they had those issues here in this game against Creighton. So that was good. And then Creighton, they were without one of their guards, Ashworth, who obviously San Diego State has a history with. The big question going into today was how are they going to deal with Kalkbrenner? Ryan Kalkbrenner, the guy's over 7 feet tall. He scored almost 50 points in one of Creighton's games already earlier this season. And I know it was not against the defense, the caliber of team as well that San Diego State is, but still, that's a guy that usually could give Creighton, at least 20 points, somewhere around there, 20 plus points. And the Aztecs really limited him. 11 points, obviously, but what I wanted to highlight was the first half. He only had 4 field goal attempts, 1 for 4 in that first half. He scored 2 points, just wasn't a factor. And then you have San Diego State on the other side, where, against Gonzaga, I thought they could have been better shooting wise. But today, I tweeted it out, it was like Stephen Clay, on a college level to a smaller degree today. That's what it felt like with Miles Bird and BJ Davis. BJ Davis, 7 for 11 today. Miles Bird, 6 for 10. They combined to make 5 threes, 18 points from BJ Davis, 16 points for Miles Bird. And then obviously you had someone like Magoon Gwath, who continued to show the potential and just the talent that he is. Remember, this is his first year? Yeah, his first year at San Diego State actually playing. And so I'm very interested in seeing how that is going to progress, obviously. It's not a ton of points, but he still had a couple of blocks, and he still had 4 defensive rebounds in this game. And what I liked as well is that there were some contributions from guys off the bench. The bench combined for, 12, 6, 18 points coming off the bench. Obviously, it was a big Miles Bird, BJ Davis show today, which was great. But, what I was thinking during this game was, so last week, I didn't have this opinion, but maybe some were like, oh man, okay, they can't contend with Gonzaga. With this, don't have Jalen D. I was mentioning this last week after that game. You don't have Jalen D. You don't have that talent, the veteran talent that have played together, Lamont Butler, guys like that. But then you go to this game, and we'll see what happens tomorrow against Oregon, which should be an entertaining matchup at 1 o'clock. And then we'll see what happens in their third. I think it's 3 games in this tournament. The third one is not set yet, but we'll see what happens then. But what I saw today was like, no, this team can contend if they get Reese Waters back and you don't have guys dealing with cramps and you give this team more time, which they'll have as they get to March, obviously, more time together. In San Diego State, as Candace Parker was saying, after that game, he can't spell and you can, but she was joking around. You can't spell San Diego State without defense. If they're going to keep bringing that, and then they have the shooting like they got today from BJ and from Miles, Reese Waters adds shooting as well. And he's obviously someone that is a starter on this team. Yeah, they do have the talent. I'm not saying that this team is better than the Final Four team. I'm not saying, I wouldn't want to have Jaden Ledee, obviously, of course. But there is talent on this team. And I just think that as they have more time together, they develop. We get into that Mountain West play. We'll see how, obviously, the rest of this mini Players Era tournament plays out here. But there is the talent there. It's just a matter for me of how consistent can their shooting be? Can they get Reese Waters back? Miles Bird, BJ Davis, can they continue to be like some of the stars. I don't know how else to say it. The main guys to go to on this team. And Magoon Guath, as this season progresses, can he be worked in offensively a little bit more? Or is this going to be a year where, you're going to take what he can give you, obviously, but he's not going to be playing as many minutes as some of those other starters like Nick Boyd, Miles Bird, BJ Davis, just because of maybe the construction, how his body is. It's different, obviously. So it's an interesting team. It is. And it was fun to watch this game. Raining down threes. Creighton entered today ranked 21st in the nation. And so San Diego State, they give Creighton a loss. And that Oregon matchup tomorrow, I think that is going to be a fun one as well. I think San Diego State should win that game if they can beat this Creighton team. Although, Creighton not having Ashworth like that obviously was a factor. But you could say, well, the Aztecs, they didn't have Reese Waters. So overall, got to be encouraged. And I think if there was any people overreacting to that Gonzaga game, hopefully, they overreact to this one and they're back on the positive side of San Diego State.